Hi, I'm Britton LaRue, and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Dear Moon to Moon, it's Britton, and I am extremely proud to be bringing you this episode, Unshaming the Houses, number 7. We're doing the 7th house this time, and I have none other than Colin Bedell, aka QueerCosmos, to come and talk with us about this very, very, very important house in human experience. When I was first dreaming of this project, in my journal, I wrote down the numbers 1 through 12, and then wrote down, like, if all possibilities exist, and everything that I want will be what happens. These are the human beings that I want. Well, everything that I want does happen, so there's that. I'm coming to learn this about myself as I get deeper and deeper into taking my dreams very fucking seriously and trusting that if the visions show up, that means it's incoming and it's inevitable. So what would you like to begin doing next to steward this into being? But you better be sure that the name that was next to number 7 was Colin Bedell. I have been loving QueerCosmos Instagram feed since very early in my astrological pathway, which is just at 7 years now. I just hit the anniversary of my brother Rhett emailing me the PDF of my chart. It was October 11th, 2017. And I didn't know that charts existed at this point. Astrology wasn't as openly embraced as it is now back in 2017. And also I just didn't have it on my radar, at all. So as I set about surrounding myself, immersing myself in the voices of smart, funny, witty, clever, critically interesting voices of integrity, something that I'm very skilled at doing. I've did it for 20 years in academia. I discovered QueerCosmos a long time ago. And so I have always been seen myself as just a Colin Bedell fan. What else can I say? So when QueerCosmos started to follow me, and then Colin began to put comments of encouragement on my Unshaming the Signs posts, I was just like, am I just living my dreams or what? What's happening? Who even am I? And my heart just burst open when I reached out to Colin, snuck into his DMs and said, hey, I'm going to be doing this new project called Unshaming the Houses on my podcast. I'm really hoping you'll say yes to doing Unshaming the 7th house. And Colin immediately got back to me and said, I would be so honored. I would love it. Thank you for thinking of me. Just so generous and so open to play. Yeah, it was just quite a day. I literally squealed and jumped up and down. Thank you, Colin, for your yes. If you're listening, let me read Colin's bio from his website, which is colinbedell.com. You can find all the links for connecting to Colin's work in the show notes. Colin Bedell is a best-selling author, speaker, and media expert on astrology and relationships. On relationships, 7th house. That's what we're talking about. As the co-founder of QueerCosmos, a comparative astrological resource for LGBTQIA+ folks, Colin is committed to updating ideas on identity, relationships, and spirituality that are inclusive to a wider range of racial, sexual, and gender diversity, which is why Well and Good magazine listed Colin as one of the most influential people in the wellness industry and as a 2020 innovator. Complementing his work with QueerCosmos, Colin writes weekly horoscopes for Cosmopolitan.com. Colin's been featured on Good Morning America, New York Magazine, MTV, and TLC show Stargazing, and Colin is a seasoned regular astrologer on Written in the Stars, which premiered November 2022 on Discovery+. Additionally, Colin is working toward certification by the Relational Life Therapy Institute to become a couples coach, where he can integrate astrological approaches with leading theories, models, methods, and skills for healthy relationships. Oh my goodness. You see why I picked Colin as my 7th house dream it into being. That's what we're doing. So this is a huge one. This is such a great conversation. We're like at once having the best time ever and just like giggling constantly and like saying really, really, really profound meaningful things here. Just such a joy to be in Colin's space and have him in mine. The 7th house is a zone for just a lot of shame to thrive, because it has to do with one-on-one relationships. And one-on-one relationships are a really huge part of the human experience. This is so much of what we've come here to experience, is these whole universes that happen inside of the contract between two people. It's a highly vulnerable space. And it's a space where we hold heartbreak, we hold failure, we have regret. We're always calling in more skill here. Calling in second chances and third chances and fourth chances. And I'm just always been so supported through Colin's reels and the kinds of posts that he shares on Instagram as someone who myself is very, very, very interested in my 7th house life. This is where I personally have my North Node, and I have Pluto here. So it's just, it's a really huge field for my human experience. And that doesn't mean it's for everyone, except that it's an angular house. You know, like the angular houses are 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th. And these tend to be like the zones for who we think we are, you know? And these are the zones usually why we go to see astrologers. Is, can you tell me something about what's going on in this part of my life? And a lot of folks go to astrologers to find out 7th house information. What's going to be going on for me this year in my 7th house, you know? So I'm just so honored that I've been able to bring someone as Colin Bedell to Moon to talk about this space that I feel is such an important part of my life, and be able to enrich this podcast space with his voice and his wisdom and his brilliance. This is for you. This is for the legacy of Moon to Moon. I'm so proud. And now I will hand the mic over to our conversation. Thank you and enjoy. Welcome to Moon, Colin.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to be here with you. Truly, I've been looking forward to this for weeks.
Well, truly squealed when you said yes, thank you to my request. As soon as I dreamed up this idea, I was creating a list of, who I would want for each house, and you were my immediate seventh house dream. This is a dream come true. I've always
I'm so
loved
honored
your
by that.
relational wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you. That really means so much to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really actually rare for me to sit and watch someone's full video or full reel. And whenever you're doing something on relationship topics, I go all the way to the end because you just have learned so much over your life about, maybe it's probably lifetimes. Like you probably had lifetimes of being support to others in the relational realm. That's what I wonder.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. South Node in the first. So allegedly,
Oh
allegedly.
my gosh, I have South Node in the first.
See, so then maybe we
Here we
did this
go.
dance before. Here we go. Reunited at last. Okay.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Will you lead us in? How do you describe the seventh house to clients, readers, anyone who's learning astrology and you're going to take them into seventh house material? How do you describe it?
Depending on where they're at in terms of like, because I know we had discussed that people come to you with lots of different access points with astrology, right?
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, I'm often greeting people who are like getting initiated into the kind of sacred mysteries, actually from academic spaces like you. I know you're in your bio, you're like, I'm an academic in recovery,
Yes.
right? Do I know that feeling? And so I actually like to describe it as the house of relational dialectics, in
Mm.
that it's where contradictions and oppositions, as the central organizing agent of relationships, exist. So dialectic wisdom,
Whoa.
holding the both end, right?
Yes.
The knot of contradictions that technically two communication theorists, Leslie Baxter and Barbara Montgomery, studied back in 1995 and put forward relationship dialectics or relational dialectics as a communications theory. So that's usually where I'll begin. But if it's people who have no business learning about that research, I just kind of like to position it as the house of relational intelligence and how we truly identify and implement the truth that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of our relationships, period, point blank, bottom line.
Whoa, there it is. There's so much there. Oh my goodness. You have North Node then in the seventh house.
Yes, indeed.
And what else? Do you have anything else? What's the sign that you have there?
Well, depending on who you ask,
Okay,
right?
okay, okay.
So, because the week that I was born, a lot of nodal shifts. So my the mean node puts me at 0 degrees Pisces, which I relate to. Hello, right?
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
But sometimes with true node, I'm 29 Aquarius. But I don't see that. Yeah, just on the relationships I've had in my life, it's with Virgo Pisces where I've really had to step it all the way up. So that alone. And then my friend Francesca Otti, who's a British astrologer, she argues that because my twin sister had a Virgo daughter, that irrefutably I have to be Virgo Pisces because we tend to either give birth to or marry someone on our nodes. So I'm like, I'll take it.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
who
so
knew?
fascinating. So are you,
Yeah.
what's your rising sign then?
Leo.
Leo. Okay.
I know,
Stop.
I know the body. I'm on unshamed. No, excuse me. I'm with the unshamed astrologer. Let me not, but I'm like, oh God.
So while every Leo rising that I know, moves through this whole discomfort process with finding that out, and
Oh,
mhm,
it's it's just such a cross to bear. No, not exactly. I'm finally just loving it. Took me 35 years, but I get it now.
you get
So
it now. What is
I
the
think
heart of
so.
it? Is there a deep secret you can reveal
Ah,
about Leo
well,
rising?
yeah, just that honestly, like we would much rather hold the stage and the light and the directing for others.
Mm.
We are so much more comfortable with that, right? Because we're aware,
Yes.
like this energy follows us. We're not gonna not acknowledge it, but we like to share it. I've seen that with all of my Leo rising friends. And the truth has sort of been like, okay, do that. And also like, hey, entertain too. You got a New York sense of humor. What are you doing being quiet about it? I could do both.
Mhm.
So that's been helpful. And actually hanging out with other Leo women has been phenomenally supportive for that.
Fascinating. So
Yeah.
your Aquarius ruled seventh house.
Most assuredly. Yes.
And do
Yes.
you have Aquarius placements?
No, no. No,
Okay.
I know. But I feel like I have a pretty Aquarian life in a lot of ways. Hello, astrologer, I work on the internet, queer. I don't take anything reverently. I just dismiss everything, really. So I feel very Aquarian in that way, but no Aquarian personal placements, no.
And then Saturn is the ruling planet. Is that how you in your I don't know what your background is with astrology, but I talk in terms
Right.
of ruling
Of course,
planets
yeah.
ruling a house. Yes.
hmm Yeah, Saturn and Uranus both in Capricorn, close to my moon.
Okay. Okay. Your face.
Yeah, deep breath again.
Capricorn moon buddies.
Yes.
Ah. I was just, you were speaking about then how these dialectics between self and the other and
hmm
relational intelligence and how we really can't escape it. I
No.
was thinking how for me, like my moon is in the 10th, so I just kind of want to give it all there.
Nice.
I just want to do what I'm doing.
Come on.
And then like relationship stuff, right?
Anything but that.
Yeah. These dang relationships.
Uh,
But truly it is the heart of our life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we've seen this in study after study in
Mhm.
some of the world's leading theologies as well. Love is the highest order, relationships is a spiritual practice. The longest investigation into well-being at Harvard concluded it is the quality of our relationships that mitigates opportunistic infections, financial rewards. Like it all comes back to that, right? And so I would love to see astrologers, because this is my soapbox, right? Taking a more pro-social stance and sort of reminding folks like this astrology for self-awareness is the floor, not the ceiling,
Whoa, yeah. Okay. Totally.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's think about unshaming the seventh house. Like,
Come on.
how do you see shame at work in the seventh house?
Gee, I wonder. Right? Well, let me ask, like, how do you define it? Because I learned it through, clinicians, yada yada. But we could, to quote my new Virgo friend Dione, we can decenter knowledge, she
Ooh,
said.
I like this.
I knew you would. I knew you would. She is so fucking funny. Oh, can I curse? I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
please. Yes, this is an
Yeah,
explicit space.
come on. No, yeah, she was like, honestly, Colin, just abolish knowledge. And I'm like, great. So
How
how
do
do
we?
you unpack shame? in this context?
Yeah, for me, first of all, I think about shame as a way of seeing the world.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so the way I see it is that when we were younger, and also operating through lineage, like just when our through the lines, somebody along the way, many times likely,
Mm,
received a witness to that where they got in trouble. They did something wrong. They were bad. And the what was internalized is that this is a world where I am either good or I'm bad. And so the shame lens becomes a way of seeing the world where we protect ourselves from being bad and cling to behaviors, motivations, ways of thinking about everything for
mm.
the purpose of maintaining goodness, which is a very vulnerable way to live. And it's a binary way of thinking about everything.
Yeah, it
It's a
is.
child's perspective because it lacks nuance.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and so I feel like shame can feel like a feeling, but more than anything, it's like a spell that's cast across the way we see the world so that we're moving through that lens. So as you start to unshame and take some of these layers of the glasses off, what comes forward to me is more clarity and just seeing things more clearly rather than
Yes.
storytelling of I'm bad, protect me from my badness. Please think
Mm,
I'm good. Am I being good? Um,
mm,
what will be the story about how I acted? Will it be that I was good or that I was bad? Um, and goodness is extremely vulnerable this way because what it can feel like is the in a second we could screw up, we can fuck up, and we've like lost it. Like
oh,
everything
yeah.
we
Oh my
care
God, it's so
about
true.
is pulled away suddenly. So we have that feeling of hypervigilance and dread from like anticipating when is it going to happen that I'm going to be unmasked as bad somehow here.
Uh,
And
yeah.
so
Uh,
that's thick in the air in our relationships.
oh God. And yeah, so many people have that self, yeah, that feedback loop, right?
The feedback loop.
Yeah, to quote where I learned a lot of these ideas from would be Dr. Brene Brown. And so the notion is, I'm unworthy, which almost is
Yeah.
so interesting because it connects to my ascendant, right? So Leo as the sign that
Mm.
introduces maybe worthiness to us, that we're all fundamentally worthy of love, joy, and belonging exactly as we are. Imagine that. We don't gotta prove anything or pretend, perform. And so I think knowing that shame is also perhaps a feeling that I'm unworthy of connection, then it's on in all 12 houses, right? But I think maybe it rears its ugly head in the seventh house, perhaps the most aggressively. Of like, you're not worthy of love, joy, and belonging. You're not worthy of repair. You're not worthy of apology. You're not worthy of forgiveness. It's just this rampant, it's called in the clinical literature the universal emotion. We all have it.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
less we talk about it, the more we have it. And no, yeah, the less we talk about it, the more we have it. The more we talk about it, the less we have it. And so I think in the seventh house, it's the unbelievable ill-informed belief that we're fundamentally unworthy, we're bad, we're broken, we're not good enough of love, joy, and belonging. And it's heartbreaking because I think so many people, through no fault of their own, live with that filter. And that's why your work is so needed in the world today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I love you saying ill-informed. Exactly. Um, I mean it in terms of spell work, I mean it's a powerful spell.
Hello. Yeah, it's the hell on earth we're all living in, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a serious spell. But for me, speaking of it as a spell helps me feel available to the option of unspelling, right? Like,
Waking from it. Yeah, the lift the spell is lifted. Yeah.
like what's okay. So let's talk about unspelling, and it feels
Yeah.
like what you're saying, talking about it, naming it, bringing it out into the open, letting ourselves be seen as vulnerable, capable
Yeah.
of being wounded and hurt. Um,
Yeah.
is part of that bringing it out to unspell. Like it doesn't have as much
Totally.
power if we're not hiding it.
Oh, yeah, because it's one of, it's one of those demons that doesn't like when you know its name.
Yes. Wow. Whoa.
So when
Hmm.
you know its name, it tends to have less power over you than it did when it was nameless. And then when I can identify through practicing critical awareness, checking in with my body and reviewing my behavior, oh, I'm in a shame spiral. So I know that the more I listen to this, then my behaviors are going to be antithetical to all the outcomes I'm looking for: repair, connection, forgiveness, all of that. And so, how can I, to the best of my capability, remind myself, remember that I'm fundamentally worthy of love and belonging? I might have made a mistake, but I am not a mistake.
Whoa.
And that, I think, is so critical to remember when we talk about shame, is that shame is an emphasis on self. I am bad. I made a mistake. I'm unworthy. And the minute you're there, you're not thinking. You're executive functioning completely offline. And then we move into, okay, yeah, I snapped. I was harsh. I might have been punishing. I made a mistake and I'm still worthy of love and belonging. How do I repair that and acknowledge the potential impact I might have initiated on somebody, not from a place of fundamental unworthiness, but from a place of like me, like you, like everybody else? I screwed up. I'm sorry. Let me redo that. Is that okay? And then it just takes such a different energy with that. Yeah. Could you imagine if we learned
I
how to
know.
apologize?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You listed these wonderful things to remember that one wants a repair, connection. I can't
Oh
remember what the
yeah.
other ones were, but it feels really,
Apology,
yeah,
forgiveness.
yes. It's we when we get in the shame piece, when we're seeing through only the shame lens, it's like we've forgotten about what we're really wanting because
Yeah.
we're just so in a way it actually is very self-focused and we're no longer listening,
No.
which would be the seventh house thing to be doing.
Yes, trying to perspective take, but because we're already living in the wreckage of the future, we're dress rehearsing tragedy. We're thinking, disconnection, withdrawal, right? All I'm concerned about is protection, not taking in your perspective here. And that's very normal. And I think actually what I often wish astrologers would really reinforce as one of our industry's greatest strengths is the power of normalizing. That it's like, that's real cute. You think you're the only one that does that because you're not.
Right. Yes, I
We
love
all
that.
do. Relax,
We all
lighten up,
do.
laugh at yourself. Oh my God, look at, I'm doing that thing, my critical functioning, executive thinking offline. Look at me. Who doesn't do that? Like lighten up everybody. And then that's where my Gemini sun comes in. Like, we all do it. Seriously, just lighten up about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about the seventh house as the site of projection, of seeing the person we're in relationship as then the screen. So the shame lens sees them, like our eyes are seeing through shame, project
Yes.
onto the other person, and all we're seeing is the tormentor, the oppressor, the police voice of
Hmm.
whoever's going to tell us that we're bad. And we're like
Yes.
then defending against it, preparing, our
Oh,
arguments
yeah.
against it. We're blaming the other person.
Yeah.
And it, I mean, this is how I found this work really is I have this incredible partner and he just has a lot of relational intelligence and moon and
Great.
Gemini in the seventh, I'll say.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and he really helped me lovingly see like what was happening. When I would not be, I would go into this freeze state of not any longer
Yeah.
being able to be
Oh,
relational.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
and just this sense of I'm going to lose this person if I don't learn some tools and skills to hold myself when I'm absolutely terrified I'm about to be abandoned because I fucked
Mm,
up, and
mm,
growing awareness that like the abandonment is from
a younger self that's like absolutely terrified, and
Yes,
it's
yes.
not what's actually happening here.
No,
So, yeah.
no. Yeah,
So,
you're in two time zones in those spaces, right? The past and present
uh,
are right there. And that's again, too, where I think astrologers can be so helpful is to just acknowledge, where the inner child is steering and where the wise adult has to step forward and kind of reparent. And then also, too, I think those of us who are involved in spirituality, I think that we offer something really provocative in relational discourse, which is, oh no, it's actually fantastic that you're in two time zones at once and that your partner is not your emotional need fulfilling machine and that the past travels with you and it resurfaces in this moment because you have an opportunity to go back in time and heal that inner child. So
yeah.
what do you want to do? Do you want to deny that opportunity and just let the inner child lead? Or do you almost want to go, as they teach in Kabbalah, pause, what a pleasure. This is coming up for me because this person subconsciously matched my subconscious. And then in this container, I have an opportunity to be a wise adult, not an inner child.
Ooh,
And that
yes.
that is seventh house provocateur, baby, because there is discord, there is conflict. I love talking to people about conflict technology and repair. I think it's phenomenal. And
Mm,
again, if you look on social media or you get the best of advice from your friends, family, whatever, the first response is to just like, cut them out of your life. But no, what if instead I realize like my partner's not my father, my mother? Why am I making them out to be like they're my caregiver and supposed to attune to all of my needs as I define them? What are we
mm,
even
mm,
saying? you
mm,
know? And
mm.
so I think the seventh house has a lot of relational wisdom because it teaches us the value of conflict and how to discord well. Oh, I love
Oh,
it.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about how, it's like this place where the sun sets,
Yeah.
and there's something about the self, kind of the sun, going away, and
Yes.
I think there could be a feeling of, there's always just this sense of terror, really,
Yeah.
in our contracts. Like, how am I going to hold myself? How do I hold to
Yes.
myself against this opposing force?
Yeah. And actually, I think that's the value of Aries or the first house, right? Is
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
differentiation. Is just like, well, because I'll tell you how I hold myself because you're you and I'm me.
Right.
It's that simple. I don't know, it's not always easy to access in those
Yeah.
moments of
Yeah.
anticipatory conflict, but it's just differentiation. It's boundaries. Can't spell boundaries without Aries. You're over there, I'm over here.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't all have to agree. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
That should be the name of the seventh house. Unshaming the seventh house. Imagine because I just keep saying that because we do have to imagine it to like
We
evoke it.
do
It
have
seems,
to imagine it.
come on, Gemini Pisces, let's do it.
Exactly. I was thinking about the way it's like such a heavy bag that we carry with the seventh house.
Yeah.
Like they're the I think because I'd love to hear your take on it. As a culture, we just have such an immature relationship to death and uh,
Ooh.
grief, right? Like
Ooh.
because we don't have like a real way to ritualize and alchemize death into life again and be so
Mm.
grateful for death. I feel like so many of us just hold the like sum total of relationships that have ended for some reason
Oh,
as
that's
like
such a
a
good point.
massive bag of evidence for failure. And we live in this
Mhm.
culture that valorizes the length of your commitment.
That's right.
The
That's
fact that
right.
it hasn't ended is
That's
the
right.
evidence of your skill.
Golf clap. I know. Go ahead. I want to interrupt you.
Well, and so speak of the divorcee,
Hey, someone do it. Tell the truth. Go ahead, baby.
and when you think about like, wow, the quote unquote success of a relationship is based on if I'm still in it. Like, how
Right.
can that be? How what are we doing to ourselves that we culturally are okay with this, and what would it be like, again, imagining, bring in the imagination, like what would it be like to see all those endings as beautiful alchemy, teaching me things about what it means to be a relational being here. And it's
Yeah.
not the length or the endurance of the relationship that is a signal that it was meaningful and
Yep.
powerful and like a worthy way to spend my time and energy. There's so much there.
There is. There is. Yeah. And I think what you're hearkening to is like, yeah, till death do us part.
Ooh, yeah, there you go.
Right. And it's like, well, actually, let's not. Just because I met you at the funeral parlor doesn't mean we have a meaningful friendship or relationship. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so it's the longevity piece. So this is not necessarily related to the seventh house, but perhaps it is. Right at the time that I was advancing my study of astrology, I was beginning studying the principles of A Course in Miracles, which, no dogma, no religion. It's just a self-study program of universal spiritual themes. And it has this really incredible idea, which is that actually relationships don't end because they're always in the mind.
Mm.
So I think what bears positioning here is it's not about longevity as it is so much the quality of the lessons learned. And like it's not even about the physicality, the distance, the frequency. It's about the connection in the mind of how this person has animated my life and tried their best, and me too, to keep my heart open to love at the same time. Right. So it says us patently relationships don't end. And how do we know? Because I still love my late best friend who's no longer in the physical incarnation and graduated to the next level of existence.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Wow.
Yeah, she's still here. All the ones we loved are still here. And the ones that we are no longer in romantic relationships with. But relationships are in the mind primarily. And when you know that,
Fascinating.
yeah,
Yes.
I think you can take a very different orientation. You can still be very worldly about it, and kind of understand that attunement, physicality, the body, yes. And when measuring a relationship's success, it's not about hardly any of those worldly things. It really isn't.
Oh my gosh, that is such a healing right there. I feel
Huh.
very moved. Hmm. Thank you for bringing that. Yeah, I know just so many have that conditioning that there was a problem that they couldn't, whatever, make it work, you know?
And I wish that again, we could do everything we can to sort of onboard people to go, oh, wait, there's another way of looking at this.
Yes.
I get it. I know.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, those of us who are involved in astrology and spirituality, I think taking a pro-social stance is hearing other people's perspectives and saying, do you want to consider the possibility of another way of seeing this?
Yes. That's the coolest thing about astrology is that you're playing with something that's kind of impossible. And because you're playing with impossibility, it opens
Hello.
up the field for more.
Because we're imagining, baby. Okay, we're going there. We're bringing the metaphysical physical. Hello.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
May they remarry.
Yes.
Um,
What's your rising sign? I'm dying to know.
Aries.
Nice. I have a whole theory about why gay men go goo goo gaga over Aries influenced women, but that might have to be a separate conversation. I just wanted to give you that little sizzle. Okay.
You're gonna have to tell me.
Okay. I think because, Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, Diana Ross, Gloria Steinem, Celine Dion, Chaka Khan, gay icons. And I think we just love a woman who's owning her desires and basically middle finger in the air like she just don't care to everything else. We eat it up. We eat it up. And I have asked many gay men who are like studied in astrology. I'm like, which women, what zodiac sign did you come out to? Oh, Aries. I told all my Aries girls first. I'm like, yeah, me too. And they all said the same thing. If anybody gets fresh with you, let me know and I'll pop them across the throat. I'm like, okay, good.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Actually, the
Yeah.
seventh house makes me think of Aries energy too, as really relational, or the first house as very relational, because there's something about, yeah, a person in their desire, in their life force, in their differentiation that makes us hold them really carefully in the seventh. So not to look for connective
Yes.
tissue where there isn't any, but just, yeah, if you poll couples and ask them, when are you most drawn to each other? They'll actually all answer with very first house things. So they'll all say, I was drawn to Britain when she was teaching,
Oh
when
my
she was
God.
making somebody laugh at a party, when she was dancing, when she didn't need me. She was just in her element, in her life force, in her vibrancy. And because she wasn't worried about me, I was drawn to her. And we just had that kind of like seventh house dance of will they, won't they, cat and mouse seduction, baby. Right. Which I
Yeah.
know people could argue is the fifth, but I think it's also very seventh. It's like, wow, look at you,
Yeah.
look at me, look at us. Anyway.
Oh, I love this. Thank you. Um, yeah, I really didn't fall in fully to my Aries rising until after my divorce.
Well, of
Interesting.
course, the
Hmm.
differentiator, the Aries
Hmm. And now we're
differentiator, that's
clear. We're
right.
clear. I also have Pluto because I'm Pluto and Libra in the seventh with my North nodes. So it's it's a complicated polarity that
Yeah,
teaches me so much.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about.
But of course, I
Oh, I was
distract
thinking.
you,
No,
Gemini
I
shit.
love it. I love it. We were talking about.
Gay men who love Aries women on the seventh house podcast, opposites. But
Imagine
not
that.
really.
They called it subtitle of the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Um, Here's to cat moons with mutable suns. And
Yes, and fire risings. Okay,
fire
as
risings,
hello.
exactly.
Hmm. We can have fun
A
and get shit
cocktail.
done. Right. Don't play with us.
Let's see. Oh, I was feeling into like you talk speaking about repair,
Yes.
apologies, what I've been
Yes.
learning. Because my whole first half of life was conflict avoidance. Like get
Oh.
really good at that one, you know.
Oh
What
yeah, sidestepping, baby.
and my boyfriend is like inviting me in. Like,
Come on,
what
girl.
would it be like for us to be a place where conflict is okay? You know?
Well, with those red nails, you better be fighting.
That's
I should have known Aries, right? You better
yeah.
be bopping them upside the head. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. Yeah. I remember now.
Come on. Yep.
Because what I've learned is since shame's about the past, it's
Mm.
not, and we can really only feel grief in the present because grief is like an
Oh.
actual feeling that's alive, right? So shame
Mm.
is about the past and grief is about the present to me. And so this is how
Mm.
shame's different than regret. Is regret is actually rooted in grief. It is part of
Ooh.
grief. And I think
It's beautiful.
really helped me to land inside of like the feeling of regretting, like I
Ooh.
regret that I said that. I really
Yeah.
regret that I did that thing. I regret
Yeah.
that I hurt you. And
Yes.
be able to really be with that and ask for a genuine apology from holding that I see you and I really regret it. I think for me,
Mm.
when I was holding more shame, it's like I couldn't land into the regret because I was trying too hard to protect my younger selves or
Oh, of
trying to
course.
protect myself from whatever my
Of
younger selves were
course.
fearing. So
Of
I'm
course.
curious what comes up for you with that one.
Yeah, well, it makes me think of how the foundation, the precondition of effective apology and these hard conversations is self-worth.
Ooh,
And
okay.
what's the first casualty of shame? Self-worth.
Yeah.
Because if I am living a shame resilient life, I remember that I am worthy and a work in progress, so I'm going to have a lot of regrets.
Oh, yeah. And this is
And that
okay.
this is okay. In fact, it is natural. It is inevitable. So it's almost like a boom, get it through your head that we're going to, it's not just okay, it's
Yeah.
science. And so having a shame resilient life in relationships acknowledges to love somebody means I will have plenty of regrettable interactions with them. In fact, I found this really fascinating. The Gottman Institute, who's been studying relationships for upwards of 50 years,
Yes.
has actually put forward a percentage of times where two people in a relationship are perfectly attuned because of, time, space, context, stress markers, hello, dehydration, tired, whatever. So from 0 to 100%, can you guess the percentage of when Colin and Britain in a parallel universe are perfectly aligned with each other? Can you guess?
Probably not very much. I don't know.
Capricorn moon is like, I already know that it's giving less than 50. Okay. But take a wild guess, honey. Come on, Pisces. I'm sending it to you.
I mean, what I saw in my head was around 10%, which is like probably
You're
kind of bad.
amazing. 9%.
Okay. That's not
9%.
very often.
No, it isn't. So everybody relax. Lighten up. You
You
know,
know, I'm in my exact nodal opposition right now, so I'm learning so many things
oh,
about this.
Aries Libra. Okay.
Mhm. And I've noticed that like lately, because my partner has been like on fire creatively, there's been just like less of just me being constantly centered, right?
Right.
Which is fun, of course. But well, my wounded younger selves were seeing all of this distraction as
Oh, yeah.
big old problems. And so I've been learning so much about oh, I have like really some insecure younger selves here. And I've been on this whole journey of discovering these insecurities that I didn't even
Mm,
know because I was
mm.
getting blasted with way more than 9%
Until I didn't. Until my nodal
until I
opposition,
did it.
Mr.
And
and
that,
Mrs. Gottman.
yeah. And I
Okay.
had to really pull back not to make it his problem.
And
Right.
how seventh house is that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna affirm and celebrate this creative inspiration that's beautiful. And also, it hurts sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's
What
all it
if
is.
this is mine to self-care? And
Come on.
where is there an actual need that I would like to express?
Right.
You know?
And I think sometimes too, it could be as simple as I don't need this to be a call to action. I don't need you to do anything differently. I just want you to know that multiple truths are interfacing in this moment, which is that on the one hand, I'm thrilled for you, and on the other hand, I miss you.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness.
That's all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all.
That's all it is. And I think it's important to also remember that when it comes to seventh house conflict, back to Gottman research, another percentage question. Can you guess which amount of conflict is actually solvable? So out of the 100% of conflict that you're going to get in with your
Oh,
partner, take a wild guess in terms of like what is actually solvable and can receive resolution versus what is just about fundamental differences and requires acknowledgement. That's it.
whoa. I went in higher on this one.
Okay, good. You're warm. You're warm.
What I was seeing in my mind is that somewhere in the 30s. Tell me.
I'm amazed by you. Oh my God, 31%.
Wow.
That's it. So then 69%, if I'm doing the math correctly,
Yes,
is
yes.
perpetual and ongoing, which is just about difference in life, difference in creative context. That's all.
Wow.
And again, back to the power of astrological normalizing. We just
Yes.
go, yeah, this is par for the course, baby. You want to play, you got to pay. This is it. It is what it is. And then in
Mm.
that time where he's creative, go call your girlfriends, go start a hobby, go learn a
Yeah.
language. What do you want?
Yeah. What do you want?
You know,
It's so
Aries Libra
great.
shit, first house, seventh house shit.
That's really amazing.
Mm.
And I'm thinking about what you were saying earlier about the pressure we put on our partners, like a romantic partner here,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be all the things for us.
Mm, mm, mm.
And then thus, if we're bringing all these conflicts to them, that's a whole lot of pressure on another person to find the answer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's, I think, the gift of my Aquarius descendant
Yes.
is I'm so gratefully, meaningfully supplied for by my friends
Yeah.
that, frankly, you don't need a whole lot from a man. I desire a lot from him, which is going to be a whole different energy.
Yes.
Okay. But
Yes.
I don't really need a whole lot from him. I got an incredible extended Italian American family who, frankly, that's a full-time job enough as it is. I'm lucky I even have friends. You kidding me? My twin sister has a niece and a nephew. I'm another parent. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. I got an amazing brother, an amazing brother-in-law. Like, I'm so full from the Aquarian community that I don't expect a man to be what the whole village is for me. I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm coming at him with a totally different seduction strategy, which tends to work more effectively.
Mm. So clear.
Ah, that's the goal. Yeah, because it is, relationships are complicated, and there are going to be
Hmm.
moments where I'm like, why are we fighting? So I'll do my best to keep it as clear as possible when I can, because I think relationships actually, they're, we can simplify complexity, but then we can also complicate where we think it's so simple. And that's what I try to do as often as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious what if your Saturn placement feels like it indicates for you some support for where to get certain kinds of support for your seventh house.
Ooh, that's a great question. I never thought about that. Hmm. I'm going to pause for the cause on that. So my Saturn placement in Capricorn allows me to resource myself differently and or get support outside of a relationship, a romantic and intimate one. Is that the question, right?
Well, yeah, thinking about and of course Uranus, if you prefer
Yeah.
the ruler of the seventh placement, teaching you, helping you see something about how to support your seventh house life.
Mm. It's funny. Yeah, both are true in a way, right? Because Uranus is like innovative, different, go call your friends, lighten up, right? But then I
Yes.
sometimes think the challenge is, and I had an amazing Aries friend of mine show me that like sometimes Saturn makes me endure what I ought not to endure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it both complicates and confirms certain things, right? Like, wait a minute, I could speak up and say, yeah, okay, like subjectively speaking, you might have had a bad day more than me, but so did I. I had a bad day too, and I'm not going to shrink and fold myself because I need to endure to prove my love for you. I think sometimes
Yeah.
too, I have to remember that like endurance is not an indicator of my love for you. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you're a cat moon
Yes.
too, so maybe you know what I'm referring to a bit, right?
Totally. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Totally. I have many parts of myself, like speaking of the self as like a family,
Yeah.
um, who love to play the enduring game and like
Oh
see
yeah.
how long we can go.
Before breaking, it's like, what am I proving to you? Care anymore?
But
Really don't.
yeah, like my seventh house ruler is Venus in
Mm.
Pisces in the 12th. Um,
Whoa.
so
Oh. Does everybody go, aw? I'm sorry. I did what everybody does, right? Aw. Do they do that?
Yeah, it is. It's a sweet placement,
It
but
is. But
you can be all forgiving, right?
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
self-sacrificing,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
like so compassionate that you can always see the experience of the other person to the
Yeah.
point of um accepting it
Uh,
and not wanting them to feel bad or wanting them to love themselves. And so
yeah.
learning like where it's a beautiful thing to identify and attune to the pain and the experience of the other and see
Mhm.
where that like maybe not so loving behavior came from,
Yep.
um,
Yep. Yep.
and be able to like see that that the human experience is hard and that there is trauma that's not their fault,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
But also, I don't have to engage. Like I don't have to put up.
No, I
That's
do not.
been the adulting, midlife learning, but it's always painful. It always feels
Yeah.
painful to snip, and to like endings are like deaths, like cuttings.
Totally.
So there's a part of me that's like never fully okay with something ending, even when it was so clearly the
Yeah.
the most loving thing to do for both parties. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
just
that's
because it's an exalted Venus doesn't mean it's like it's easeful. I think that's how all these placements are.
right. And then it proves like, yeah, maybe Pisces has like a sense of bittersweetness, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
in every Pisces transit, we're holding both the ending and the completion, the inhale, exhale, the void, the all thing, the no thing, So maybe that's it. And what I'm feeling is in so many of the points that we're making, I think the foundational truth in all of them, and you tell me, is that a lot of what astrology can do gorgeously is just like challenge certain expectations that people have of relationships as a whole, right? Like just
Yeah.
from, oh, all right, so 9% of the time I'm gonna be totally attuned to my partner. Good to know, right? Oh, okay, so seventh house shows that like we're gonna hold many contradictions and oppositions is true. Yes, you are. You're not dating you. You're dating someone with a whole innerverse that's not yours, right? And then with Pisces too, we're remembering that, oh, okay, so there's often a pain in letting things go, and it doesn't mean that it was a waste of time. Absolutely. You know better than anybody because you teach the wisdom
Yes.
of all 12 zodiac signs,
Yes.
is that each one is a winning strategy. Each one challenges some of the thinking of the world on relationships that's completely upside down. And if astrologers can turn it right side up, maybe we can address the fact that prior to COVID, loneliness was the single greatest health epidemic in the United States and the UK. Why?
Wow.
Why? And then I think it's not to go here too, because this is a completely separate point, but it's a continuation. Those of us who are involved in personal development need to be, kind of demonstrating to our people the fact that, like, isn't it interesting that we've never had so much access to information and talk therapy, and yet depression, anxiety, and loneliness has never been higher? What is that about?
Mm.
Seventh house contradictions.
Yeah.
And if we can hold that both endness carefully, challenge some of the expectations, and then kind of challenge the people who perhaps again, use this just for personal insight instead of mutuality and relational understanding. I think that's where we could be so called to the highest service in a lot of ways. I don't know if that through line made sense, but that's
No,
where
I
I went with
love.
that.
Well, I one of my favorite things about the way astrology, well, specifically the zodiac is set up, is that it has all of these oppositions and squares built into it as part of its beauty.
Yes, honey. Yes.
It's all, I mean, it's all there. Like you're
It's
got
all there.
squares and oppositions like inside yourself, all
Come
around
on.
you.
Exactly. So where do you get off thinking you can cross this bridge without paying the toll? I'm just curious.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And what I love about you are all 12 signs is, I mean, I love sun, moon, rising astrology. I fell into astrology, falling in love
Yeah.
with myself through learning about Aries, Capricorn, and Pisces, of course. But I
Yes.
mean, you're 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 going to have these polarities. You're going to have these
Right.
squares through life.
And conjuncts, like you mentioned on the
Mm.
on the astrology podcast. Go ahead. Just have to say
Yes,
that.
in conjuncts. They're so weird, but they are so helpful. Why? It's so fascinating.
Yes.
Like Virgo and Aries, like who'd have
What?
thought? Who'd
I
have
know.
thought?
I love it.
But
Well, hey, two
Leo
brains, right? The gut
Pisces.
and the head. There you go.
Right. Yes. It's
It's
just
all there.
diving in, you start to feel like with these parts of us are meant to be in relationship and with one another. And
Mm.
as long as you're shaming a sign for what you think it is,
Yeah.
you're shaming that in yourself. It's just you're just hurting yourself. And this is
You
very house.
you are, and you're like basically going on a long distance road trip and like blowing a tire out and think, oh, I'll still get there. What are you doing?
Yeah. And judging another sign, saying I don't understand, like I would never date a fill in the blank, usually Gemini,
Yeah.
I'll say.
I know,
Right.
I know. I don't care. No. We wouldn't date you either. You're looking for us. We're not looking for you.
It's like, so you're basically saying you don't trust yourself, is what I'm hearing, is
Oh,
because
that's so
you
true.
trust yourself, you can get into a relationship and then decide if it's how you feel about it.
Mm. Well, wow. So what I'm gonna say now on is when people go, oh, I can't do Pisces, right?
Right.
I'm gonna say, so you can't, so you don't trust yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
just like gobsmack them with that response because I don't give a fuck. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
gonna see how that goes. What do you mean? And I'm like, well, it's just so interesting to me that that sign is within you. You have new insight. You're refusing to open yourself up to a winning strategy. You need all 12 for integration, not alternation. I'm just shocked that you don't trust yourself to handle the wisdom of Pisces.
Whoa. Yeah.
Whoa, nasty.
A little bit triggering
I
sometimes.
know. I love it. Trigger
I come
these
in
bitches. Wake
somehow
up.
the heat of the Aries with this triggering Pisces material. Uh,
Oh, so your son's in the 12th house? Because of
well, my
course.
sun's in the 12th and Mercury and Venus, yeah. But my moon's in the
Of
10th.
course it is. Because you straight up and down are downloading a new astrology, in my opinion.
Oh,
You are. Of course, your son is in the 12th house. Hello. That makes, I'm so sorry. That took me an hour to get Gemini Airhead. Duh. Duh. Where's your Mars, honey?
Cancer in the 4th.
Well, my Mars is in Cancer too. Love
Oh,
it.
I think I
Love
knew
it.
that. Yeah, we got this super
Yeah.
long return right now. Oh, I can't.
Yes, we do. I got this beautiful Cancer
Uh,
necklace from a Cancer friend of mine named Tara All. She's a pretty successful evolutionary astrologer,
cool.
and it's
Yeah.
been making me very happy. And I got it right between, my Mars and Cancer chest,
Yes.
right between the titties. Anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna be learning some things for the next 9 months.
Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah, we'll circle back in 9 months, and it'll be like that scene from Heather's where like I'm smoking a cigarette, we got the ashy face, like your hair is fucked up, and I'm gonna be like, "Girl, we did it." Yes or no?
Heather's is here. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Oh,
let's
goodness.
do it.
Thank you. Yeah, every Mars return is such a big year for me. Like a
Ah,
season, but now it's more than a season. It's a year. So,
yeah, it's a year. We'll have to see how this goes. Yeah, because the last one we had was 2009, 2007, 8. Wasn't that the last Mars retrograde Cancer Leo we had? I think. Not to get too off topic, but I think it was.
oh, I don't even know. I probably wasn't. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I think that's when it was.
But yeah, I loved your reaction to my 12th house. That's really fun.
It's
Um,
true, because I'm like, yo, I would call you the B word affectionately,
yeah,
as New
yeah.
Yorkers do. But I'm like, this bitch is downloading something beyond which us mere, boring Aries to Aquarius could possibly understand. She's on some Pisces shit, not even knowing you're someone's in the 12th house too. But now I'm just like, I can't wait to tell everybody. Like, well, duh, her son's in the 12th.
Did you
Okay.
hear?
Right, so read all about it. Gemini, just telling everybody's stories for them. Woo!
Oh goodness. Yeah, that's so exciting to hear. Of course, I don't really know. Don't have an agenda, right?
No.
This is just what feels important to talk about. Um,
Well, because what is the highest level of the seventh house and spirituality but love given and received?
mhm.
What are we doing if we are not centering love as the mountaintop we're all trying to get to?
Yeah.
And when you unshame, you bring people closer to the experiences and the relationships that are incredibly loving.
Mhm.
I love that. Keep up the amazing work.
Yeah, thank you. I was
Of
just
course.
reflecting on how crabs molt before mating. So there's something about releasing that armor that shame,
Mm.
requires in order to bring people closer to more of us, you know? So sweet.
I didn't know that, but you just validated some decisions I made. Okay. But I'll keep it PG for now.
Okay. Well, oh my goodness. So fun, Colin. Was there anything else that you were like, we got to talk about this or that? What have we
Yeah,
not
I
said?
I think not to be the boy who keeps bringing up studies, but I just think I love the research,
Yeah.
and what's really fascinated me for quite a while is Ed Tronick's research out of Harvard, and he put forward this kind of three-step choreography of relating, and it's harmony, disharmony, repair.
Oh,
So that all relationships will touch on all three of those, kind of stages in the sequence of connection all the time, start to finish, womb to tomb, harmony, disharmony, repair. So I think the seventh house normalizes disharmony and also positions the space between disharmony and repair as the juiciest part. So it turns out that trust is not built between harmony and disharmony. That's what I thought. I'm like, well, it's got to be, right? Because small ways, small gestures. No, it is only found in between disharmony and repair is trust and intimacy.
wow. Yes. You
It's
know,
so easy to get along when you're doing everything I want.
yes.
That's not the rub. The rub is what happens when, God forbid, you differentiate and decide to do something without me. Who
Well,
who am I in that? Right. And or when I try to bid for connection, and because you're stressed, dehydrated, and didn't sleep well last night, you cop an attitude with me.
mhm.
So am I gonna make that about me? Or am I gonna be like, hold on, let's find our way back to each other. Like we can attune, we can connect, And I just think again, normalizing the disharmony piece, especially because I just feel like culturally speaking, and this makes so much sense, nobody needs to be reminded of how danger in the collective just seems to be skyrocketing from the global all the way to the micro. So we're tolerating distress in our relationships less and less.
Mhm.
And I
It's
like to
so important.
And I like to stand with my people and be like, I know it's scary. This is hard, discomfort, anticipatory risk. Ah! And also, you're a badass bitch. Don't fucking tap out.
Yes. Yeah, here we are in Libra. Libra, sometimes I have Libra on the seventh, but we sometimes generally think of seventh house as related to Libra. And I think really true Libra is that whole circle that you're speaking to. It's not just
Mm,
harmony, you know,
mm, that's right.
it's like, what does it take to trust in like a larger harmony? It's the capacity to walk through disharmony and repair again and again and again and again.
Yeah. And I think it's through not just, how many times are we going to go through that before we realize, oh, gee, I could probably stand to improve my conflict resolution skills, huh? But it also is the astrologers who have this extraordinary listening to sort of say, like, hey, listen, I understand conflict is scary, but it actually can sometimes be a bridge for closeness depending on how you regulate your objection to difference.
Oh,
So
regulate your objection to difference. Ah,
sorry. Yeah, I'm speaking Cap Moon to you, right? I am.
I just love it.
Speak clinical to me, Colin, But it's true. Depending on how you do that, and depending on how you remember, other people are not you, and you are not other people. And look at nature, look at the eroticism of all the difference, look at the excitement, the tension, the energy around all of that. We are not separate from that. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I just wanted to say that too, because I love challenging other people's expectations and entitlements to a
Yeah.
conflict-free, 100% comfortable, absolutely certain connection. I'm like, boo boo, you are living in a wrong alternative and you need to wake up. You need to wake up fast.
Oh goodness. Yeah. I'm here
I
for
know.
it. And, you know, one of the number one consequences of shame is lack of self-trust. So getting back to
Oh,
that
here
self-trust
we
piece,
go. Here we go.
if you
Mhm.
see each conflict as that becomes the data that indicates, oh, we should probably quit this, as opposed to trusting yourself that you can move through the stages from that
Yes.
conflict and move around, and that you can trust yourself to know, is this, is there really an ending here, or do I just have low capacity for staying regulated through conflict, you know?
And maybe I just need to have some water and take a nap. Go to bed angry.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
terrible relationship advice. Never go to bed angry. No, do it.
Terrible.
Yeah, do it. Go to bed pissed off, like, mm, mm. Right? And then you wake up and you go, wow, I was a cranky twat. I'm so sorry. And then we laugh at it. Oh my God, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, ugh.
I know.
Levity, people. Jupiter's in Gemini. Christ on the cross.
That's my placement, by the way.
Oh, it is. Happy Jupiter return. Me too. Love it. Yes. What
So you're
degree?
Jupiter's son. I was
Yeah.
like 26 or 27.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm Jupiter Venus.
Oh, wow. But your son's in
That's
Gemini, yeah?
yeah. Sun conjunct Mercury in the 10th, like 2-3.
Uh-huh.
So Sun at 2, Mercury 3. And then Venus, Jupiter 14-15.
Oh my goodness. Super Gemini. I
And
love.
a twin, which like just still baffles me to this day. Super fucking Gemini. And I'm always like looking for like a twin. It's weird.
Oh.
Yeah. Even when she's not here. It's true.
Oh. What a unique experience that so few people get to know. Hmm.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And it's been really something that, of course, Jupiter and Gemini have been just really focusing in on. It's like, what does it mean to have not even had my own womb?
Mm.
Just like,
Right.
I don't have my own one. And when I was a child, like I shared a room with my brother. So room to room, I never had anything that was mine. But like, how do I have that? My very sweet Scorpio friend, Aisha Ophelia, she was just like, yeah, that Gemini antenna is just always out for connection. And she's like, I'm a little too Scorpio, so I go stranger danger. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. That's what makes us different and special. But I have been reflecting on how me being a twin informs almost everything that I do and am. Yeah.
Yeah. That must be the part of this well of relational wisdom that you have.
Wow.
It's,
I,
you're truly living it, like truly was swimming in it in utero.
It's true. I know, literally, scientifically speaking, it's true. And then my beloved opposite signs, Ophira and Talia Adut, known as the Astro Twins, they're twin astrologers. I knew that like they were going to be just such important teachers in my life. And they said, like, as twins, you are a lifelong student of interpersonal connection.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, yeah, it's kind of been baked into the cake for me in so many ways. And I think that's what I try to do with the resource that I have with my family is then do my best to teach and share from that lived experience so that other people can find greater connection and vitality where they can.
Hmm. Thank you
Mars
for
and Cancer.
thank you for doing so much of that work so publicly so we can learn with you.
Oh, hey, listen, thank you. Just for even putting shame in the astrological lexicon.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Anyway, I digress.
Tell listeners where they can find you, kinds of things that you offer, things like that.
Yeah. So they can find me on Instagram and TikTok occasionally when I feel brave. Because like I'm like I still feel like I have no business being on this friggin' app. Okay. But on QueerCosmos on Instagram, website colinbedell.com. I offer one-on-one readings. And I'll just say it here. I'm looking to start a YouTube series. So
Oh,
maybe in the not
yes.
too distant future, where like New York is a central character, you're just going to find me, aggravating people on the streets of New York City, discussing astrology with them and hoping for the best.
Please do this.
Just Gemini on the street. Hey, hon, what's your moon sign? And see what they do. She's going to be like, I don't know. I got to go to work. Shut up.
Call it. Imagine that.
Yeah, they're like, what I would like to imagine is getting to work on time, and you're preventing that from happening. So get the fuck out of my way, is what the New Yorkers are going to say.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, how about that? Oh my goodness. So fun. So fun. Thank you so much, Colin. I'm so grateful to be in connection with you and in friendship with you, and so grateful for your time and your attention on the seventh house with me in this series, Unshaming the Houses, here on Moon to Moon. Listeners, you can go to the show notes to connect with Colin if you're not already following his beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. Let's see. I would invite listeners, if you're just finding this series, please dive into what's already been published and please dive into what will be published. You can be notified when the new ones come out by subscribing to Moon to Moon. If you've never left a rating or a review, encouraging you to do that today. It's just such a fun experience to receive a new review. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your voice in sharing that you enjoy this and that it's, something that you put your own time and energy into really helps other people feel confident in giving it a shot, giving it a try, seeing if it would be fun for them. If you're hearing this around the time that the podcast is coming out, hope you will join me in Cave Space. We kick off the first day of Scorpio season, October 22nd. This is my annual Scorpio deep dive into underworld storytelling, underworld mythology. It's also an exploration of how the taboo and the unseen, including death, including the repressed, including things that we often don't want to look at, that these zones can be so powerful in providing force for our energy to come through our throat. How? Through what we say, and especially by what we choose to do, because it's through the throat that we make our choices. So this here is the Taurus-Scorpio axis. Throat is Scorpio, throat is Taurus, genitals is Scorpio. So in this fascinating way, this polarity speaks to the parts of the body that are open out to let in the vulnerability. Throat is a vulnerable place. Genitals is a vulnerable place on the body. So in Cave Space, which is 4 weeks long, we have 5 live meetups that are totally optional. And there's also 3 pre-recorded teachings for you to enjoy on your own time. We bring like body humor, playfulness, curiosity, also tons of compassion and tons of like love frequency energy, unshaming energy to what is often really difficult to talk about and really difficult to look at. I just feel really strongly that we are harmed by thinking that there's something wrong with having these kinds of conversations and looking at this kind of material. The shame around speaking the taboo, especially the taboo around our vulnerability, which is nothing short of our shame of being alive, because to be alive is vulnerable, and to be vulnerable is to be alive. It means our capacity to be wounded. Yes, we are all capable of being wounded. We have been wounded and we will be. But as long as we don't talk about our vulnerabilities, and as long as we shame ourselves for being vulnerable, this is all just getting lodged. And then we become stifled through our voice and through our choices and how we participate in the world. This container, Cave Space, is so meaningful to me because it really taps at the heart of what matters just so much to me in this life, which is living bravely, which is to live vulnerably, and to unshame, see, and fall in love with, to validate, to reassure the parts of us that are afraid to. So Cave Space has this like really fun vibe to it that connects to my personal way of living, which is that laughter is alchemical. Laughter is transmutational, and that in tapping into cackle energy of like throat back laughing, there's a way in which we metabolize truth that's being spoken, even truth that is otherwise difficult to hold, that laughter like helps us hold it. And I see Cave Space for me as like a very playful place to go. Like I always feel myself more like in my power. Like I feel very brave in Cave Space because it's, I sort of feel like you're not going to say yes to this if you don't consent to going there, you know? Like going there, like talking about orgasms and the erotic and the underworld, you know, creepy crawlies. So if you say yes to it, I sort of feel this huge energy come into my body holding the space because I just feel very excited to receive like this consensual space for all of this Taurus Scorpio energy to take up, you know, let it take up space. I get very excited by the Plutonic taking up space. And you come because some part of you is guiding you there. And I really trust in proper timing. Like Cave Space is for those who feel called to it. And if you're not called to it, it's either not the right time for you to be engaging with this material, or that it's not the time for you to be engaged. That's the reason you wouldn't go. Barring you've already done it, which a lot of people listening already have, because it's my 4th time to do it. Yeah, it's a really special container that I love to return to. It's a coming home for me now that I've been doing it so long. So there's that. And then the other container that I have that's very different space, but it's also a group space, is that I'm redoing Underdog to Diva, the group coaching container. Some of y'all may remember the workshop I did last late April or early May. And then following it, I just felt a strong need and desire to create a longer term space around it. And I have loved creating this container, and it's been really teaching me what it is over time. It was one of those really brave things that I did to throw it out there, because I didn't 100% know what it was yet, which I almost never do the first time that I do something. I mean, I never 100% know anything. So there's that. Anyway, I just feel like, this needs to be a year-round thing. Like every 6 months I open the doors and it's a new group, and some people stay and some people go, and it could just doors open. You want in this time? Cool. It's really for folks who are out there hustling with their gifts, sharing their gifts for money in the marketplace reality, I call it. That world over there, that's called the marketplace, where we have things called prices and links to pay for things. We're out there swapping our gifts, for money with other human beings. As divine beings among divine beings. It's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of a weird thing here in late capitalism. This funny thing called money, where we have so many wounds. Just go see Unshaming the Second House episode. So it's a very open space for unshaming, that this is what we do, is we go exchange our gifts for money. But that brings up a lot of stuff, And Underdog to Diva is not about a pipeline of you're turning yourself into a diva. It's an infinity loop whereby, the deeper you get into your business, the further you get into your gifts, the more practice you get in receiving evidence that people want to be in exchange and in reciprocity for those beautiful gifts you have. Every time you start to be edgy once again, you start to go to new edges, you're going to bump up into the underdog parts of you that are whoa, this is a terrible idea. We need to just keep doing what we're already doing. People aren't going to like this. This is a new space for us. We don't normally talk like that. Every time our soul takes us to new edges, and we are at the edges of some part of us that we've never really articulated out in the world before, every time that we do that, we are going to be interacting also with the parts of us that are really scared about that. And those are what we call in this framework the underdog parts that are new to the race. Underdogs are new at the race, because in the marketplace reality, things are often pictured as competitive. We're playing with this by calling it the marketplace reality. Okay, so we're new. Great, we got puppy energy, but it's also scary and we feel wobbly. So the group coaching container is for mentorship, it's for wisdom, it's for sharing yourself. As you're out there living bravely and vulnerably with your gifts in exchange for money, which brings up all kinds of things, because we all have money wounds, we all have money material, and scarcity is so prevalent in our culture that everyone has scarcity. So this is all just openly discussed because we're not pretending. We're not pretending that these things aren't part of us. We're not pretending we've somehow graduated to some space where we don't have this anymore. That's just doesn't feel helpful to me. So it's for you if you're out there as like an entrepreneur, you're an artist, you're a creative teacher, you are a space holder, you have a business, you have a practice, and you like mystical approaches. You like disruptive approaches. You like honest approaches. You like whole self approaches. And you like the way I show up. You sense in me it's like a mentor that you feel like you could trust. And you trust that I'm going to magnetize people like you we all have a shared field and energy that you feel like these are probably going to be the kinds of people who you're going to like knowing, and you're going to resonate with their experiences. And hearing about their experiences is going to be fortifying for you. And it's going to feel good. It's going to feel good seeing yourself reflected in these other humans and feeling supported and celebrated by them for 6 whole months as you move through all the stuff that you're planning to bring out into the world across that time. All this is to say is that Underdog to Diva has an early bird price that ends the last day is Friday, October 25th. We don't start until mid-November, but if you think you're going to want to do this and you would like to get 20% off before it goes to full price, inviting you to commit by October 25th, that's Friday, so that you get the money savings. Otherwise, if you're not ready yet, you can still take a few more weeks to decide. I'll keep talking about it. All right, I think that's everything then. I will see you at the next one. Thank you, thank you, thank you.